Ever had a job that just didn't sit right? I took a night shift at a 24-hour pharmacy in a small town in Colorado. Nothing special. Stocking shelves, checking security cameras, handing out cold meds. But on my first night, the manager handed me a strange red binder. It wasn't company policy. It was a list of rules. Not normal ones. Like, don't speak if the man with the paper bag asks what time it is. Or, if you hear the baby crying in aisle 9, leave the building immediately. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was some weird hazing. I was wrong. My name's Roland. I just moved to southern Colorado, needed a job fast, and found a hiring poster for Wellstead Pharmacy, a 24-hour chain store nestled between an abandoned bowling alley and a frozen yogurt place that never seemed open. They were desperate for overnight help. The manager, George, didn't even interview me. Just asked if I had a heartbeat, could count change, and was willing to follow instructions exactly. People say the night shift's quiet, George muttered, not meeting my eyes. But it's never quiet. Just different. I signed the contract. Got the uniform. Was told to show up the following night. And that's when the weirdness started. On my first night, I clocked in at 10:59 p.m. The pharmacy smelled like lemon cleaner and static. George was waiting at the back near the manager's office. He handed me a red binder, frayed edges, no label, and said, "Don't lose this. Don't ignore it. Don't question it." I opened it. Inside was a page titled, Revised 2022. Failure to comply may result in loss of time, memory, or personnel. The rules, page 1. 1. Lock the front door at 11 p.m. sharp. Do not reopen until 6 a.m. even if someone is screaming. 2. If the motion-activated camera in aisle 3 triggers but nothing is visible on screen, do not check it. Wait 3 minutes. The motion will stop. 3. The man in the trench coat may arrive between 1:33 and 1:41 a.m. If he approaches the counter, do not speak. Do not blink. He will purchase 3 items. Hand them to him. He will leave. 4. Do not rearrange the cough syrup shelf. It changes back anyway. 5. If the intercom whispers your name, leave the pharmacy floor and hide in the break room closet. Do not emerge until the store music plays again. 6. Never talk to the pharmacist after midnight. He doesn't work here anymore. 7. If you hear a baby crying in aisle 9, run. Get out. Don't look back. Don't try to help. 8. At 3 a.m. exactly, restock the sleep aids. Count each bottle aloud. If one replies, smile and continue. Never stop counting. 9. No mirrors. Ever. Break them if they appear. 10. If you find a second red binder, burn it. Immediately. At exactly midnight, I was scanning barcodes on new boxes of toothpaste when I heard the door to the pharmacy counter creak open behind me. I hadn't seen anyone walk in. I turned and saw a man in a lab coat. Tall, pale, eyes like wet pebbles. "Evening," he said monotone. "You seen my keys?" His name tag said, Dr. Holland. The binder rule flashed in my head. Rule 6. Never talk to the pharmacist after midnight. I think they're in the back. I lied. He smiled. But not with his mouth, with his eyes. Always were a liar, weren't you? He said. Then he turned, walked through the pharmacy door and vanished down the aisle. I never heard the door swing shut. When I looked again, the aisle was empty. The camera above the register flashed. Motion detected, aisle 3. I stared at the monitor. Nothing. Just cold medicine and toothbrushes. I reached for my walkie to ask George, but remembered he'd already clocked out. I waited. 3 minutes. Exactly 180 seconds. The motion alert cleared. The camera shut off. I still don't know what was there. but one of the toothbrushes on the shelf was now chewed. The man in the trench coat, 1:37 a.m. He came in through the back. Didn't open a door. He just was there. Tall, gray trench coat, wide-brimmed hat that hid most of his face. He walked to the counter, stood silently, placed 3 items on the glass: a box of latex gloves, a pregnancy test, a child's sippy cup. His hands were soaked. I didn't say a word. I scanned, back, handed them over. He turned, walked straight toward the frozen food section, then disappeared behind the ice cream freezer. There was nowhere to go, but he was gone. The crying at 2:22 a.m. Soft, almost a mewling sound, coming from aisle 9. I froze. There it was again. A baby crying. What? Desperate. Alone. I stepped forward once, then remembered Rule 7. I ran, right into the break room, shut the closet door. I stayed there. Minutes passed, until the overhead music kicked back in, some generic pharmacy pop. When I stepped out, everything was dark. Even the emergency lights were off. Only the front register monitor glowed, and on the screen was me. But not now. It showed a feed from 10:59 p.m., the moment before I clocked in. In the feed I was smiling. Behind me, standing just outside the door, was a second me. I made it to dawn. At 6 a.m. the lights snapped on. Customers filed in. George showed up with 2 coffees. "You're still here?" he said, sounding surprised. I didn't answer. He slid me a note under the coffee cup. "Don't read the next page of the binder until you're back inside tonight. Some things only exist when you look for them." I tried to sleep that day, but something about my reflection felt wrong, like it was remembering something I wasn't. That was my first night at Wellstead Pharmacy. In part 2, I'll tell you what happens when someone steals a bottle of pills they weren't supposed to, what's really hidden in the pharmacy basement, and why there are never mirrors in the store. Don't forget to subscribe our channel Dark Horror Bytes. And if you ever take a night shift at a 24-hour pharmacy, don't help the crying baby. Sit back, take your coffee, and enjoy the part 2. In part 1, I told you about the red binder, the rulebook they gave me on my first night working the graveyard shift at Wellstead Pharmacy. The rules were strange. Don't speak to the trench coat man, avoid the crying baby in aisle 9, and never trust the pharmacist after midnight. I followed the rules. Barely. But last night I saw something I can't explain. A recording of myself entering the store, followed by another me standing outside. And this morning, my reflection lingered a little too long after I turned away. I think I'm starting to forget things. Or worse, I think something else is remembering them for me. I returned to the store just before 11 p.m. George wasn't there this time. Instead, a clipboard sat on the counter with my name scrawled at the top. Shift 2. Binding confirmed. I didn't know what that meant. Underneath was the red binder, now sealed with twine. I opened it carefully. The rules had changed. New rules, page 2. 1. A woman in a white hoodie may ask for sleeping pills. If she arrives before midnight, serve her normally. If she arrives after, pretend you don't see her. If she insists, give her 3 expired pills from the drawer labeled Test B. 2. If a customer buys bandages and chewing gum at the same time, discreetly mark them on the clipboard. Do not make eye contact. 3. Aisle 5's seasonal products shelf is not to be stocked manually. Place new items nearby and walk away. They will arrange themselves. Do not watch. 4. If the register prints a receipt for $0, burn it. Immediately. It doesn't belong to this store. 5. Between 2 a.m. and 2:12 a.m., someone may enter claiming to be a health inspector. Let them pass. Lock the back door after. Don't ask what they inspect. 6. Do not follow anyone into the employee bathroom if they knock 3 times. No one should be in there after 1 a.m. Not even you. 7. If you find a stairwell where one shouldn't be, do not descend. Even if it says pharmacy basement, staff only. There is no basement. There never was. 8. Never let the same customer enter twice in one shift. If you see a repeat, check their shadow. If it flickers, press the panic button under register 2. 9. The baby now knows your voice. Do not speak near aisle 9. Whisper only. 10. The man in the trench coat may return. This time he'll ask a question. Do not answer. 11:03 p.m. The woman in white came in fast, hood drawn, trembling. I was behind the counter, pretending to read the circular when she approached. Do you have anything to help me sleep? She asked. Her voice was sharp, frantic. I checked the time. 11:03 p.m. Still safe? Yeah, I replied, handing her the last bottle of over-the-counter melatonin. She handed me exact change, $6.66. No joke. She left silently, but the camera feed froze for 10 seconds after she walked through the doors. When the image came back, she was standing in the aisle again, still staring at the sleeping pills shelf, even though I saw her leave. At 12:15 a.m., a teenager came in, bought a bottle of ibuprofen and a Coke. I rang it up. The register spit out 2 receipts. One normal, one blank, except for the total. $0. The paper was ice cold, damp, almost breathing. I grabbed the lighter from under the counter and burned it. As the flame caught, the store lights flickered. For a split second, every product label on the shelves changed. They all read, "For him, for him, for him." Then the lights came back on. Everything was normal again. I wheeled in a cart of snow globes and heating pads, holiday surplus. Aisle 5 was the seasonal section. I remembered Rule 3, place new items nearby and walk away. So I stacked the boxes just at the aisle entrance and turned my back. I heard soft shuffling, no footsteps, just the slide of objects moving. When I turned back, the shelves were fully stocked, but none of the globes were mine. These had moving scenes inside. Not snow, not glitter. Security camera footage. Each one showing a different part of the store. Real time. I smashed one open. The liquid inside was warm and red. The camera feed behind the counter began glitching. Then displayed me holding the snow globe, but my mouth was stitched shut. A man in a leather jacket came in, bought batteries and a pack of gum. 10 minutes later, he came in again. Same jacket, same gum, same exact movements. I checked his shadow. It flickered, like bad VHS static. I pressed the panic button under register 2. No alarm went off, but the lights dimmed, and something lumbered out of the back. Not a person, not a customer, something humanoid but wrong. It grabbed the man by the arm and he just smiled, as if relieved. Then they vanished into the storage hallway. I haven't seen either since. He wore a badge, no name, just the word clearance printed where his face should have been. He didn't speak, just walked through the aisles, stopping occasionally to smell items. He stopped at the children's vitamins, sniffed, shook his head, then kept moving. I locked the back door after he left. There were no footsteps, only the sound of flies buzzing behind him. At 3:14 a.m. I found the door, right where the allergy meds used to be. Metal, rusted, marked. Pharmacy basement, staff only. There had never been stairs before, and I felt this pull. I opened the door, saw steps descending into pitch black, heard a child laughing, felt heat, like standing in front of a furnace. Then a whisper in my head, "He's down here." and he's building a new aisle. I slammed the door, taped it shut, but the whispers haven't stopped. They're louder near the cold medicine now. 5:58 a.m. Almost sunrise. I was doing my final walkthrough. Near the freezer aisle, I saw something pressed up against the glass. A handprint. Child-sized. Misty. Fresh. Inside the freezer? No ice cream. Just rows of red binders. Stacked neatly. All with my name on the spine. And underneath, scratched into the frost. "You've been working here longer than you think." That was my second night at Wellstead Pharmacy. In part 3, I'll tell you about the emergency announcement that played at 3:33 a.m. About what's really in the cold medicine, and what happens when you break all the rules at once. Again, a little reminder for you to subscribe Dark Horror Bytes. And remember, if your night job has a binder full of strange rules, it's not a job, it's a sentence. Now let's dive into the ending part. I told you about the rules, the red binder, about the woman in white, the man in the trench coat, the baby that cries from aisle 9. I told you I found a stairwell to a basement that shouldn't exist, that I saw snow globes showing live security feeds, that the store rearranged itself when I wasn't looking. I think it's trying to make me part of it, because last night, I saw binders in the freezer with my name on them, stacked in rows, hundreds, maybe thousands. And tonight, the red binder had only one page left. If you're reading this, there's no going back. This is the story of my final shift. I clocked in at 10:59 p.m. just like the past 2 nights. But everything was different. The lights were too bright. The floor too quiet. The camera feeds were already glitching. And the red binder? It wasn't red anymore. It was black. On the cover, in embossed white. Inside, only one rule. At 3:33 a.m., the store will go into lockdown. Play the emergency broadcast. Choose a section to sacrifice. Do not leave until the sun burns red. If you see him, do not bow. Do not speak. Do not run. Remember, you applied for this. At 11:01 p.m., the store had 13 aisles the night before. Tonight there were 14. Aisle 14 had no label, just a gap where the toy section used to be. I peeked inside. It stretched back, farther than the store should have allowed. I mean miles. The lights faded into fog. The first few shelves had unmarked white bottles. No price tags. No barcodes. Just single words handwritten on the side. Regret. Mother. Teeth. Repeat. And at the far end, something moved. It had my voice but didn't speak words. Just breathed, gasping, like it was learning to exist. I backed out and stapled the aisle shut. It's still there, moving behind the slats. 1 a.m., the second me. He came in through the employee exit. Uniform, name tag, keys around his neck, my keys. He walked to the register, typed something into the screen, then looked at me and smiled. You don't remember yet, huh? I asked who he was. He leaned in. I trained you. Then he vanished. But on the screen, the receipt log showed one new transaction. Time redeemed, 3 hours, 12 minutes. Item, himself. Total, $0. 2:22 a.m., the crying returns. I heard the baby again. Same place, aisle 9. But this time it was closer. The shelves rattled. Boxes toppled. I ran. Back into the break room. Into the closet. I waited. This time the music didn't return. But I heard something breathing behind the mop buckets. Something soft. What? Then a voice, not mine, whispered, "It's your turn in the crib." The closet door flung open. But nothing was there. Only the faint imprint of a child's hand pressed against the inside of my shirt. 3:33 a.m., lockdown. The lights cut out. Emergency sirens wailed low and distorted. The intercom sparked to life. A voice, corporate, sterile, automated. Attention staff. Emergency lockdown. Initiating Protocol 7. Select sacrificial section to maintain pharmacy integrity. Repeat. Select sacrificial section. The register flashed a prompt. Select section, aisle 1 to 14. My hand shook. I hovered the mouse. The store vibrated. From aisle 14 something screamed, deep and personal. Like it knew me, like it was me. I selected. Aisle 14, sacrifice confirmed. The lights flickered red. A wet tearing noise echoed from the shelves. Aisle 14 folded in on itself, collapsed like a dying lung. Then, silence. The screen read, sacrifice accepted. Shift may continue. But the temperature had dropped, and there were more shadows now. 4:04 a.m., the cold medicine. I restocked the cold meds. The new bottles had strange labels. Small print. Latin maybe. But one word kept showing up. Narration. When I scanned it, the register shut off. The bottle grew warm in my hand, and I remembered something. Not mine. Not even human. A lifetime lived inside the walls. Hundreds of faces watched from hidden cameras. All training. All observing. Me. Waiting for me to be ready. For this. 5:06 a.m., the true pharmacist. He returned. The one from the first night. Dr. Holland. His eyes were glowing now. His coat stained. He smiled wider than any man should be able to. You've made it to the last hour. Not many do. He placed a red binder on the counter. Inside were photos of me. Sleeping. Crying. Digging a hole. Wearing uniforms from other decades. You've worked here forever, he said. And when you forget again, you'll work here forevermore. I grabbed a pair of scissors from behind the register. What? But he didn't fight. Just let me stab. He deflated like a balloon. Inside him, only receipts. Thousands. All blank. All stamped. No return. 5:59 a.m. 1 minute before sunrise. I stood by the front doors. I could feel the shift resetting. Shelves realigning. Walls stretching. But this time, I held the black binder. And it whispered, burn it. So I did. I lit it with a match and dropped it into the mop bucket. The flames turned blue, then green, then gone. The store went silent. The sun rose outside, but everything inside the store stayed dark. I quit that morning. Never went back. But yesterday I got a package. No return address. Inside was a VHS tape. On the label, Wellstead, Night 4. There was no Night 4. Not for me. But on the tape was footage of me, still behind the counter, smiling, selling pills to customers with no faces. And behind me, a door, slowly creaking open, revealing aisle 15. That was the end of my time at Wellstead Pharmacy. But the shifts keep happening. The rules keep changing. And somewhere in that store, I'm still behind the register. So if you're ever desperate enough to take a night shift, and you get handed a red binder full of strange rules, ask yourself, how many versions of you already have? Because at Wellstead there are no new employees, only returns. And the receipt always says, no exchange, no exit, no memory,